Okay, so hi everybody. My name is John Thomas Kooz Kazmarski, and I'm going to be presenting on effective mental health crisis de-escalation, my recovery story. So if we turn to the second page, the second slide, you can see the outline for the next 20 minutes of this presentation. I'm going to be talking very briefly about myself and what we do here at My Journey, and building off of what Kyle has already explained to you about my journey. Then I'm going to go over crisis number 1, where I was the causal epicenter of the crisis. I was causing the crisis, and I'm going to detail what worked so effectively then. It was strength and calmness. And then the second crisis was resolved with logic-based evidence and reasoning, and the star of that crisis was a police officer from Benton Township Police Department. And then finally, I'm going to conclude with a powerful CIT quote. Okay, so if we turn to the next slide, slide number 3, we can see some delightful photos from my present life, basically. On the left, we've got my father with his 3 sons, my 2 brothers on the left, James and Thomas. And my mom took that photo. That was last October. So, 8 months ago or so. And it's a great photo. Family life is great. And the brother on the far left, James, just recently had a son, Huckleberry, and I love being an uncle. It's a magnificent experience being an uncle. And Huckleberry, that's his legal name, Huckleberry. And he's holding a jar of coffee beans there. And I say to my brother James, Huckleberry's so adorable, he wakes me up more than the sharpest espresso or something like that. And I love family life. And on the far right, this kind of segues into work, because that's a photo of my boss, coworker, and friend Cal Abbott and I in Lansing for a peer conference where we renew our Michigan State certification as a peer support specialist to stay certified. And we were getting our continuing education credit units there in Lansing. So life is good. And then this is more detail into my journey on slide number 4. So basically, the main thing I do at My Journey, and I'm going to talk about all of the things that we have structured in our calendar events, but the main thing is I provide hope, encouragement, acceptance, guidance, and understanding to the members of the mental health community. Like if somebody asked me, what is the main thing you do at your job? There's a lot of things I do at work here, but that's the main thing. And on the left, we have a class here in this room. It was called Professing the Positive. And that class is almost exactly 2 years ago. And Professing the Positive is all about focusing on the positive things and not so much focusing on the negative things and moving forward with that. In the middle, we've got a Thanksgiving celebration from about half a year ago, last Thanksgiving. And for holidays, we have big celebrations. They're fun festivity events for the members to celebrate and have joy in their life, really, And then the other thing we do at My Journey is excursions. So most months it's going bowling or going to the park or going to the beach or going to the movies. But once a year we take our biggest excursion yet, ever, and we go to Lansing for the Walk a Mile in My Shoes Mental Health Awareness Rally. And this last photo on the right is a travel group we took to Lansing, and we're actually on the Capitol steps there. Celebrating the Walk a Mile in My Shoes Mental Health Awareness Rally. And that's an amazing event. It's so fun. It's a big day for us, the Walk a Mile days. And everybody wants to go and everybody can't go, but they're a blast. They're a blast. Okay, so things are great now, and they have been for a number of years, but I have not always been the successful supportive mental health care worker that you see today. So this leads us to, still on this slide number 5 here, but this leads us to crisis number 1, which occurred on June 28th, 2013. And that's when I was the epicenter of a crisis. But before I go into those details, I just want to share a statistic here. And according to SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration, 23.1% of our U.S. country's population has some form of a mental illness. That's about a quarter. 25 would be a quarter, it's about a quarter. And of that 23%, 5.7% of that subset has something called a serious mental illness, or an SMI. And so if you do the math, only 1.3% of the US population has an SMI. I have an SMI. My psychiatric diagnosis is schizoaffective disorder bipolar type, which is also cross-diagnosed as bipolar disorder with psychotic features. And because it has symptoms of schizophrenia, which is a thought disorder when it's untreated and unmedicated and you're unstable, and it also has the mood swings of a bipolar disorder, the mania and the depressions, it is a walloping, brutal affliction that can easily, mental health challenge, that can easily cause a person to lose their foothold in their life. And that's what had happened to me 12 years ago on June 28th, 2013. And just a little backstory with that, I first had my manic episode at 16. It first showed symptoms of this mental health challenge. And I went for 13 years up until this day, up until that day, June 28, 2013, from 16 to 29, from year 2000 to 2013, resisting treatment, being non-compliant. I'd seen a couple of psychiatrists, they prescribed some medications, I never took them. So I was non-compliant with medication, even though I desperately needed it, up until this day on June 28, 2013. So if you turn to the next slide, slide 6, you can see a newspaper article that came out from the Buchanan Chronicle the day after this crisis. And it was because there was all 3 forms of emergency response there. I was found screaming wildly, chaotically, and viciously in the Buchanan Mud Lake Bog Forest Preserve for hours, just wild, crazy, chaotic screaming. And I described that day as looking up at rock bottom. So I had to improve my position to reach rock bottom. That's how bad things were for me that day. And if you want to turn to the next slide, something you may be familiar with is the MCL 330-1401 for that day was textbook obvious. All 3 criteria were met. The first criteria, I don't think I actually would have harmed myself or somebody else, but who knows? My mind was in a dangerous spot then. The second criteria, 100% true. I did not understand the need for survival needs for food, shelter, and other survival needs. And I obviously didn't understand the need for treatment because I had resisted it for the past 13 years. And so staying on that page, I still remember very clearly, and this is sort of the valuable moment here, in the forest clearing, when there was a big search party going on throughout the whole day because it's a 108-acre nature preserve. And I still when they started shouting, the law enforcement and the EMS and the firefighters, they started shouting back. I was very paranoid and scared of people, so I didn't want to be found. So I got quiet, and I still remember when they finally found me in the forest clearing, and they had a tremendous presence of strength and calmness. I remember them walking peacefully, talking kindly. They never rebuked me, and that strength and calmness instantaneously de-escalated the situation because my mind was incredibly weak and not calm. So seeing these law enforcement officers, like all of you guys today, it just soothed me. It de-escalated instantly. Just their presence did. And that day, I started treatment. I had a hospitalization, and then it was about 8 years of 5 hospitalizations and 3 adult foster care stays before I finally got my life back on track. And I'm so grateful for that. And I really owe it to law enforcement officers like all of you here today. I mean, because that was what saved me. If it would have been another profession, it wouldn't have gone well. I know it wouldn't have, but with you guys, it did go well. So that leads us to slide number 8. And this is the kind of happy ending here because 2 years ago on May 13th, 2013, my success story was published in the newspaper. And it recounts the whole bog screaming recovery that I just told you in this recovery story. And, life is good now. I've got a beautiful home that overlooks Lake Michigan. I've got this amazing, even more importantly, this amazing job here at My Journey, assistant director, helping the members of the mental health community. And a lot of times when I tell people that story, the rock bottom, worst mental health in the world, like negative 1 million in life, to now doing, plus 10,000, doing really well. A lot of people ask, how did I get there? And the way I got there is the 5 dailies. Now, four of them I do every day. There's only one I don't do every day. But the 5 dailies that made this recovery possible, it's these 5 dailies. The first one is ongoing therapy or coaching with a coach or therapist. It's my belief that everyone needs, it could be every couple of weeks, maybe even once a month, you need a protected conversation to talk about topics that worry you, that concern you, that are victories. It doesn't always have to be about bad things, but you need that protected conversation for stability in life. Second of the 5 dailies is daily medication. I know some people may disagree with this, and you may not be taking prescribed antipsychotics like me. It may be something like a vitamin supplement or a garlic supplement, but it's my belief that everybody should be taking some form of daily medication. 3, daily exercise. This is a hard one for people because they say, I don't have the motivation, I can't get to the gym. It's my belief that you have to work out every day just for good mental health. I've been working out every day except for 2 days the past 4 years, and it's done wonders for mental health. The body is connected to the mind. You keep the body healthy, it'll keep the mind healthy as well. The 4th daily is daily communication with friends, family, coworkers, some people that are supportive in your life. You have to communicate with them on a daily basis. If it can't be an in-person or a phone call, make it an email or a text. You have to reach out to somebody every day, because that was a problem that caused, the isolation caused problems in the past. And then the last 5 daily is practicing the craft of kindness to yourself and to others. Okay, so those are the 5 dailies that worked for me. And respectively, those 5 resources keep your mind and body healthy, your connections strong, and your heart warm. Okay, so that's that. And then we are moving on to the next slide. And this is getting really into the crisis intervention training aspect of this. Because giving someone the power to reclaim the mastery of their own mind is the desired solution to effectively de-escalate any mental health crisis. And I have this quote here: no matter how disruptive their behavior is, an individual experiencing a genuine mental health crisis is a victim. They are a victim of their own mind. The antidotes to that chaotic mental state are strength, calmness, good rapport, and sound reasoning. Okay, so this leads us to crisis number 2. This occurred on February 3rd, 2023, so a little over 2 years ago. And on that day, at our center here at My Journey, I'm fully recovered. I'm a certified peer support professional assistant director here. I'm working here at My Journey at that time. We had a member, R, who was experiencing psychosis, spontaneous fits of hysteria, panic attacks, and suicidal ideation. So Kyle and I, we called EMS and reported her psychiatric symptoms, also noting that she had ingested 3 to 4 thumbtacks. And we were waiting in the lobby, in the foyer. Yeah. Kyle remembers it, yeah. So Kyle, and then we called EMS, but law enforcement arrived first. Fortunately, they were very well trained in suicide crisis negotiation. And the 2 police officers, one of which was Officer Alex Povins from Benton Township Police Department, Kyle and I were waiting in our lobby in our foyer for the ambulance. And R was hysterical and kept panicking, and she kept saying, I keep hearing these voices to kill me. Then Officer Povins did something incredibly resourceful and effective. He said, well, if a voice in your head is telling you to kill yourself, and you're still alive, then you are stronger than those voices. Wasn't that beautiful and effective? So R discovered that she was more in control of her mental faculties that day than she originally believed. It was a powerful utilization of using reason to give a person a stronger foothold in life and to regain their sanity. And Officer Povins also used rapport. Rapport is the harmonious connection between people when feelings are understood and communication is strong. Officer Povins communicated that he could relate to he could understand where her brain was, and then he disproved the psychotic voice, the psychotic thoughts, but with logic and reasoning, but he used that rapport. And immediately when Officer Povins said that, I noticed a visible shift in R's countenance. She still looked scared, she still looked overwhelmed, but she no longer looked unhinged, and she regained more control. It was very visible when he said that. Okay, so that's that second crisis. And we're at the concluding quote here. We're at the end of the presentation. And this quote was referred to me by my boss, coworker, and very good friend, Kyle Abbott. And it's by Chaim Janot. And he was an educator and psychotherapist. And if you guys ever have a chance to talk to Kyle more, I encourage you to do so. He's accomplished so much at his age in life, but without a doubt. So this quote is by Chaim Janot, who's an educator and psychotherapist, and it's very fitting for realizing the power you have as law enforcement officers to resolve and effectively de-escalate a mental health crisis. Okay, I have come to the frightening conclusion that I am the decisive element. It is my personal approach that creates the climate. It is my daily mood that makes the weather. I possess tremendous power to make life miserable or joyous. I can be a tool of torture or an instrument of inspiration. I can humiliate or humor, hurt or heal. In all situations, it is my response that decides whether a crisis is escalated or de-escalated, and a person is humanized or dehumanized. If we treat people as they are, we may make them worse. If we treat people as they ought to be, we help them to become what they are capable of becoming. So who knows if the next unstable, chaotic member of the mental health community right there on the scene, at the center of the crisis, years later, down the road in the recovery, has somewhat of a success story like me. They become assistant director of a drop-in and help other members of the mental health community recover and improve their lives. Or maybe somebody like Vincent van Gogh. Vincent van Gogh suffered from a severe form of bipolar disorder, and actually in an asylum in Saint-Rémy, France, he painted one of the greatest paintings of humankind. He painted Starry Night, and he did that in his recovery because he was given a chance to recover. So who knows what potential lies in store for a person. I thank you for your belief in one's capacity to fully recover. And lastly, to quote Shakespeare's Hamlet, mental health crises are enterprises of great pitch and moment. And you have the effective training as law enforcement officers. You have the effective training, capacity, and strength of resolve to give those positive pivotal choices effective destinies, effective reality. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys for being here. This is an honor, and it's kind of a full circle being able to tell this recovery story to the same profession that started my recovery that day on June 28th, 12 years ago. So this is a real privilege and an honor to be here with all of you law enforcement officers.